Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire. This is FFS 32, and we have a full squad to select from this week. So no difficult selection problems. Everyone can play. Let's say hello first to Keke. Hi, Keke.
Hello.
To Mark H. Hi, Mark.
All right.
And to Rich. Hi, Rich.
Hello.
And thank you to listener for joining us. This is a special occasion too, because we promised an episode between the European club games and the Nations League, and that's exactly what we've given you. For once, I've got nothing to apologise for, at least not at the start. That may have changed by the end of the show, but let's see how we get on between now and then. And today we're also going to be joined by a returning special guest. Mikko Laitinen from the Finnish FA, Palloliitto, has come to tell us about the new Finland national kit that was launched today. And then we're going to look forward to the upcoming Nations League matches for Finland, which kick off in a couple of days' time. We're also going to discuss the recent games in the Champions League and Europa League for the Finnish club sides. And then we'll wrap everything up with a brief summary of the Veikkausliiga. At this point, we're a little over halfway. We're recording this show on Zoom, and it will be published after as a podcast and a video on the Finnish Football Show YouTube channel. So although you can't listen live, we still want your input. Podcast listeners, use social media to get in touch with your feedback. Our handles are Explore Finland, Kekke Mülleri, FC Suomi, and Escape to Suomi. You can also find the Finnish Football Show Facebook page and group. Just ask to join and we'll let you in, and if you play nicely, we'll leave you in there. You can find links to all of these in the show notes. So if you're on your podcast player or watching on YouTube, there's a link below, and you can find all this. And there's lots of pictures and videos to illustrate today's episode. So if you don't normally check out the show notes, today would be a good time to do so. And we've also brought back our regular features. We've made excuses in the previous couple of episodes, but Jasilla Sipuli and following will be back today. So we really do have a full team. But if you four other gents are all ready, let's get going with the rest of the show. And let's start that show with the update on the new kit for the Finnish national team. I'm going to try and do something a little bit clever and show it to everyone. So bear with me while those in the call and those watching the video, I'm going to now share my screen. It's the sort of thing we do every day at work nowadays, but never on the podcast before.
Jalkapallo kuuluu kaikille.
Se yhdistää ihmisiä.
Kyllä tämä menestys tarkoittaa sitä, että buumi on nyt hyvä.
Uusi sukupolvi näkee just sen, että kaikki on mahdollista.
Haluamme menestyä, jotta heillä on uusia esikuvia kotona.
Se on kaikista hienointa Huuhkajissa, että se tuo parhaat puolet suomalaisista esiin.
Tiukan paikan tulemme ollaan yhtenäisiä. Ja ehkä siinä on just sitä suomalaista sisua.
Ollaan parempi yhdessä kuin erikseen.
Kauan se kesti, mutta se kuvaa sitä, että kaikkien on mahdollista, kun vaan ollaan sitkeitä.
Kyllä tuotta ihmistä kannustaa. Ainakin mua jännittäisi.
Me tiedostamme, että meillä on vastuuta. Kyllähän se on ylpeätä, että saa laittaa Suomi-paidan päälle ja edustaa. Se on kova juttu. Yhdessä me ollaan kovia.
Kova laitat uuden maajoukkuepaidan päälle. Se on tosi inteikas hetki. Se yhdistää ihmisiä pelikentällä ja katsomossa. Yhdessä me ollaan voittamattomia. Yhdessä me ollaan Suomi.
Lovely work.
Yes, thank you. I have seen this maybe a couple of 100 times, but I still got emotions. So it's we are really proud of this.
It's a fantastic
you've done a
video.
really great job, Mikko.
Yeah, thank you. I think this was the best and the most interesting project that I have been working in my working career. So it was a really nice process, and it's very nice that we have got lots of positive feedback today when we launched it.
Yeah,
and
it looks.
And most importantly, thank you, Mark and Keke, with the help with the translations. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome,
you.
of
Thank you.
course.
We were happy to get the call last week to proofread the subtitles. So if you're listening to the podcast, you won't see that. You would have just heard the emotion building and the mood of that video. But if you look in the show notes, there's a link to the video there. And when I watched it first this morning, I didn't know what to expect. I'd seen the words, but they're just words. And I got a little bit like, come on, it works. The emotion really builds. So that's fantastic. How long have you been working on that, Mikko?
It has been a difficult process because first we thought that we're gonna launch it and launch the New Jersey in March.
Yeah,
before the Poland and France game. But of course, due to COVID-19 and postpone of Euros, so then we got acceptance from Nike to launch it now in September. So I think we started planning it in the middle of February or something. So long process, and then we on July and 3 weeks ago we got the last photo shooting and shooting things. So but yeah, long process.
I have to say, Mikko, that during the day today, there's been a lot of swooning from 40-year-old men at Tim's Favre at the end of that show. You three should know better.
Yeah.
Only human.
It's I mean the jersey is a fine looking thing, but you know it's I wasn't sure if it would suit me or not, but when you see like players like Tim wearing the jersey, especially with the white shorts as well, it really brings it to life. It looks fantastic. So I think it would certainly suit the players on the pitch more than it would suit me.
Yeah. And of course we had a bit problems because the team hasn't been catering like in a year, almost a year or something. So that was really good that we got to film with Tim in Denmark.
Mikko, tell us a little bit about the design, particularly for the home shirt. Where did the design, I don't know, ideas come from, or what? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think it's maybe I can't remember everything because we planned the design. It was maybe 2018,
Okay.
and we always do in design. We do a lot of cooperation with Nike. So I can't remember that good, but of course, as you can see, there is a flag in the kits, and of course there was that sisu in the inside, in the neck. So that maybe describes these national teams and maybe Finnish people somehow, that they are brave and they never give up. So that's maybe that we planned it in 2018, but now it works really good because we did it. We went to the Euros, so it's good.
There's been a little bit of sort of comments online on YouTube and other social medias about the colour. that the cross is a very dark blue and then fading to a sort of lighter blue at the bottom. Was there any particular reason for that?
Yeah, I really can't remember a reason why it is so dark from the upper side, but I think it's really fine. I like it, and in fact there is now in Ilta-Sanomat there is a voting going on. I think there was now maybe 1,500 votes, and 70% were positive. So we are really happy with that. But yeah, there has been also some negative comments about the kind of dark blue which is in the upper side. But I just find also those negative comments really good, because that tells that this jersey matters to people. So that's not no brainer like in Finland 5 years ago. So now it really there is a discussion about the shirt, and is it good or bad. I think just the discussion is the most important thing.
I think it could become quite iconic because it's so bold, and wearing that in these competitive matches that really matters now with the Nations League coming up, and then the Euros next year, which we're all optimistic is going to happen next year. It will be known as the Euros shirt, the first time Finland got there, and this is the shirt they wear, and it does represent the flag and the country. For those that haven't yet seen it, again, check the notes, but it's got this vertical line sort of from the right shoulder all the way down the front, and it starts with a dark blue getting lighter as it gets to the bottom, and then across the chest another dark blue band going horizontally, sort of representing the Finnish flag. And I think it looks smart. I'll be maybe adding it to my Christmas list. Let's say that. Let's put it that way.
Good. And one good thing is also that it doesn't look the same than the previous one. Sometimes it does. So I think we are now living in Finnish football kind of a new era. So I think it really works that it has changed a lot now.
I think
Euros and
yeah. I mean, for Nike this year, they've made a big thing about how no shirt is the same, and I think the previous Finland Nike shirts have been off the shelf. They may have put a Finland badge on it or something like that, but this one they've put things together. They've had, I think you can choose different collars, different stripes, different designs, everything about it, and they said that the USA shirt is different from the Korea shirt and the Norway shirt, and everyone has got a bespoke design. I mean, we've got the Norway kit, looks like it was worn by Elsa in Frozen, and Portugal's away shirt looks like, I think someone said it looks like something you buy your kids to go on holiday. But thought has gone into each one. This isn't one that you just pick from a catalogue and go, that stick a Finland badge on it. There's a lot of effort's gone into this.
I think the same. I agree, because I think it's somehow a trend right now with the jerseys that they are not that normal. They are, if there's something special, something like maybe a bit weird design, it's a kind of trend right now. And I'm really myself I'm really like into the away shirt. It's a classic with the collars and buttons and everything. So I like it also.
Yeah, I think the away shirt's quite nice. The deep blue with then the darker blue really works together, and I like the way that on both shirts, I believe the Nike swoosh is done in gold, so it kind of adds something else to it as well. It's they're nice. You've done some good work there, Mikko.
Yeah. Thank you, Keke.
But compared to we've been following Finnish football, as you know, for quite a few years now, and we've seen a couple of kit launches in our time, and back in the day, it just used to be two guys turned up wearing the jersey. Maybe they had a big poster behind them of them wearing the jersey. So like to have this whole release video that you guys have done is something really special, and you deserve to be proud of that, what you've done there, mate.
Yeah, and if you don't invest and try to do the best you can now when Huuhkajat went to the Euro, so it's time. If you don't do it now, you never do it. So actually we are also looking some I think it was 2018 maybe, so just a couple of years ago, and we watched today in the office the kit lounge, the jersey lounge video there, and we compared it to this one. So as you said, we have gone forward, so it's good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, come a long way.
Yeah.
Shall we, while Mikko's with us, shall we look at the upcoming games and have a talk about what's coming up in the next couple of days? Mark, I know that you have done some. You published an article this evening on the Finnish Football Show blog, looking at the squad. So maybe you would be a good person to look forward. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 1st of September. So in 2 days' time, Finland are playing Wales, and then on Sunday playing against Ireland. So the Wales game is in Finland, and then it's travelling to Ireland for the second game.
Yeah. It's a nice squad that's come out. I mean, it's always crazy after COVID because there's a lot of players that haven't, played a lot. There's a lot of players that haven't touched the ball since March, but there's a decent balance in there of there's about 10 players or so that have been kind of affected since lockdown that are let's say maybe a little bit rusty. But then there's guys like Niskanen, like the young Kai Ademi who's been brought up from the Veikkausliiga, like Daniel O'Shaughnessy, that have been playing 10, 12 games already this season in the Veikkausliiga. And the Veikkausliiga is looking, I don't know, a lot more competitive this year. I think I don't know if lockdown's kind of baking my noodle too much, but the quality in the Veikkausliiga looks a bit better, and the squad looks relatively strong. Paulius Arajuri's out. He picked up a knock, and then I think has gone back to Cyprus because it's going to take another couple of weeks for it to heal. But apart from that, it looks like a relatively strong squad. A lot of the guys up front, so Pukki and Pohjanpalo's back, which is fantastic. He finished the season after lockdown with, what did he score? 9, and I think it was something like 9 goals in 14. Teemu Pukki's been scoring goals in pre-season, although the end to last season wasn't so hot. But we're going to get to see almost certainly a front two with Pohjanpalo and Pukki, which is going to be we've waited a long time to see that come back into the fore. And I think throughout the squad we've got a lot of strength, and there's a lot of reasons to be cheerful.
Mikko, how do things look from your perspective within the Palloliitto with the upcoming games?
We've been living as you know, unsure time right now, and it was I think it was decided last week that we're gonna play against Wales and Ireland. So in a marketing communications perspective, we have done or we have had, of course, a big effort to just that people in Finland would know that the game is now, the matches are now. So, and other thing is of course the Nations League format. So we gonna still tomorrow and on Thursday we're gonna launch something like that. Why we are playing right now? Why these games are really important for Finland. So unsure times, but I'm just so happy that we're gonna play, and it's and of course this kit lounge that it feels like something is happening now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw an article. It was on BBC Sport today, and it started off with, you may be wondering why we're bothering playing these games now and how UEFA has squeezed these fixtures into the calendar. And I was just thinking, is this like English exceptionalism? Like, if it's not the World Cup, it's a bit below us. And that attitude has been there for, well, hundreds of years probably. But it's still there now, even though in the previous competition, there were some really competitive games, and it was exciting. And it is important for Finland, and these games were kind of scheduled round about this time anyway, if I'm remember correctly. So these were already in the schedule. It's the Premier League that's changed its schedule, not UEFA in this case.
Yeah, you're right.
And
we discussed this last year, didn't we? When Finland were doing so well in the Nations League, and other so-called larger footballing nations were sort of turning their nose up at it, saying, another UEFA competition that we need to play, blah blah blah. But for we went over this again and again for a team like Finland, to be playing competitive games at a level where it's playing teams in and around your level where there's a chance of victory. Don't get me wrong, everybody likes going to Italy to play, the world champions or whoever it is, but getting beat 4-0 every week isn't exactly good fun, and it's not good to build your confidence and build your team, is it? But playing these competitive games, we saw it, we witnessed it. What a confidence builder it was for the Huuhkajat to then go on and qualify for the Euros. So if we can have some more of that, obviously we've gone up a division, so we're testing ourselves again. I think it can only be good for us.
And Keke, as a West Ham fan, you have a lot of experience of this, dropping down to get some competitive games and then coming back up.
Yeah.
The games at the Olympic Stadium, though, right? So, is there any how have the preparations been to get the Olympic Stadium? I guess there's no crowd, right? So there's not going to be any big thing.
It's just like West Ham
on a regular day, pre-COVID. Is the Olympic Stadium? Is there anything special going off, or is there anything any preparation going into that stuff?
It's. Of course, UEFA has very tight regulations that how the event is going to be there in Olympic Stadium, and of course the everyone who goes to the stadium from our staff, they have to go to the COVID-19 tests and everything with that. I think something special. Yeah, I think it's really great that SMIK, the fan club, they are building their things there as they would in a normal game. So there will be a tifo, and I think there will be also the cup of tower also, and everything they would be there, but they are not. So that's a great thing, and we will definitely in Huuhkajat social media channels put that also on. So it's really nice, but not that much other things. Of course, for us, it's also, we are not happy that we don't have people in the stands, but it's a good possibility for us to check that everything works there, the screens and LEDs and everything for the matches, that we can get some people there.
Mm.
Right, sounds good. Exciting to be back in the world of competitive international football. So, does anyone, maybe Mikko, if our listeners, they're around the world, and many of them certainly outside of Finland anyway, where they can watch the games?
It's via free. It's like the joint channel of via Play, but it's free and you don't have to register there to watch it. So viafree.fi. I don't know if they have some geo blocks or not. I don't know about that, but in Finland at least you can watch it from free.
In the UK, it's on S4C, so it'll have Welsh.
Okay.
It'll be Welsh commentary, but you can watch it for free.
I will put a link to the Via Free service, and I'm sure many people listening and watching the show nowadays know how to move themselves geographically while they're online. So we'll let them work that out for themselves.
Yeah,
Mikko, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again on the video and the shirt, and let's all keep our fingers crossed, keep our thumbs up, however you want to do it for the upcoming couple of games.
Yeah, sure. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot,
nice
Mikko.
to be here again. And if in the future also, I'll also always want to come if you ask. So it's okay. Thank you.
We'll hold you to that. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks, Mikko.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Now, we had a kind of three-sided agenda for today's game, today's show. So I thought this might be a good time to take one of those modern, trendy drinks breaks that everyone seems to be doing at the moment and bring in one of our regular. Well, you've not been having your drinks breaks all the way through. With Yassila Sipuli. It makes a return with Mark Hayton making a return as well. And today's word, Mark, is tekopaikka. So over to you. What is tekopaikka?
Oh, it's the place, man. It's the place to be. Tekopaikka. So the direct translation is doing place, I guess, technically, but it's a shorthand for Mali tekopaikka, and it's the technical translation in English would be like a chance, right? Because it's not a place that actually exists in a specific area on the pitch. It's just when you have an opportunity at goal, it's called like hyvä maalin tekopaikka, that you get into a good place and you take a shot. Usually the tekopaikka isn't where you do your first goal. It's your first like clear-cut attempt at goal. So I'm all about the tekopaikka today.
Nice. I'm typing the notes as you speak. So let's make sure I get that correct. But it's being in that place to have your opportunity on goal.
Yeah, tekopaikka.
Tekopaikka. Very good. Okay, let's move on to looking back a week or two to the Champions League and the Europa League. So first of all, we had in the Champions League, we have Molde playing Cups. And as Rich is a Cups fan, you can tell us how Cups represented you in Europe there, Rich.
Yeah, I think Cups voted to leave Europe very hastily. It was
Cups it.
Yeah. Well, luckily they've had a second chance, so they've had a second vote. But yeah, they got schooled 5-0 by Molde. I think it's one of these that, I mean, by all accounts, I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. I think by all accounts, they kind of, it was just one of these, every mistake was pounced on. When you see the goals, a lot of it was, whether it's inexperience or a combination of that and Molde's quality up front, just punishing everything.
There were a couple of penalties in there, actually. I think maybe even the first two goals were penalties. That always
last
hits.
Two, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was just very much a schooling that tends to come up every so often when Finnish teams meet a superior team. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Norwegian football, but they were well and truly
Who would?
second best. Well, exactly. I mean, you can watch that in the UK on Eurosport. Yeah, it was a chastening experience, and they, fortunately for them, drop into the Europa League, where after the results of the other Finnish teams, remain the only team in the Europa League.
Yeah, they got a game against a home game actually against Slovan Bratislava on the 17th of September.
Yeah, which I mean, a home game is the best you can hope for. I mean, it's a single leg tie, so it's winner takes all. I know we joked, I think one last week, maybe it was an away goals if you're an away team, if you're Finnish and doing quite well. But I think they're at home to Slovan Bratislava, and they're at home then. The winner of that tie gets a home game against the Lithuanian champions a week later. So realistically, I don't watch a lot of Lithuanian football, but you'd like to think a home tie in that scenario again would be good. I know it's one of those awful things where, you know, Finland and all these clubs at this level are losing out on gate receipts, which is a big thing. But the prize money for winning or getting through a round, it's worth, I think, alone 150, 200,000 euros.
Wow.
You know, for for even for cups, the champions last year, that's a healthy chunk of next year's budget if they win one game. So it's a shame, but I think you go in the Champions League, that's pot luck, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right in what you say, that the three Finnish teams that were in the Europa League all got knocked out. Inter Turku were away to Honved in Hungary, and he lost 2-1. I've put links to the videos, highlights of all these games in the show notes, and each of these is just sort of 3 or 4 minutes. So it's basically the goals and a bit of other stuff. Honved scored to go 1-0 up in the 89th minute, and then Turku qualified, equalised. Literally from the kickoff with some defending from Honved that wouldn't look out of place at Ashikor this year, and then it went to extra time, and Inter lost in extra time 2-1. Then, if any of you've got anything to say about these, please jump in if you watched them.
The own goal that knocked Inter out was unfortunate. Put it that way.
It was like a comedy of errors. I think nobody wanted to go through in that one. I mean, in a sense, Inter did quite well. They were quite tight. They shut up the shop and like it wasn't an end-to-end game. But it hurts the most when you do it to yourself.
Yeah.
Then there was Honka playing away at Aarhus in Denmark, and they also shipped 5, going down 5-2 in that. That was, from the highlights, it was sort of 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, and Honka felt like they were getting back into it, and then I think there were a couple, again, right at the end to make that score look less respectable.
There's a lot of scorelines like that when you've only got one leg, because 3-2 down with 5 minutes to go.
You're chasing it.
Yeah, the kitchen sink's going forward, so it's going to happen like that. I don't think they weren't it wasn't as bad as the scoreline suggests, but
no, I think from all accounts, Honka, I think in the second half really got back into it. I think they went 2-0 down quite early. Well, certainly in the first half, and I think the second half, they started quite well, and I think got it back to 3-2. But again, like you say, it was, what do you do? You can't sit back on that. And I think again, it by all accounts, it was a defensive mistake after another, and they're getting punished by a team that, again, do well in the Danish league, so therefore are probably better.
I think the next one you're going to mention for me is the most painful, though, Mark.
This was Shamrock Rovers 2, Ilves 2, after extra time, and actually Shamrock went down to 10 men for quite a part of that second half as well.
Yeah.
But then it went to penalties all the way through extra time into penalties, and then what happened, chaps?
How many penalty takers were there?
They went round to the second. People were taking a second penalty, weren't they? And because Shamrock had a man sent off.
Missed their first, didn't they?
Yeah, and because they'd had a man sent off, so Ilves had to nominate a player to not take one.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was probably said, right, the goalkeeper can sit this one out.
No, he took one, actually. Yeah, the goalkeeper did take. I noticed that yesterday. Both of the goalkeepers took penalties and scored.
Okay.
It was. So who's the bottler? There must have been one outfield player that didn't fancy it.
I think Shamrock missed their first, but that was quickly followed by an Ilves miss after they scored the first one, but I think the second one was a miss. But it went round almost twice, and then Shamrock came away with the win. But it's which is really, really painful, and then compounded more by the fact that there's a glamour tie with AC Milan next.
Yeah, I did see that as well, and you always think of those what might have been. So it finished 12-11 to Shamrock Rovers on penalties, and I think I don't remember the name of the fella that missed the second Ilves penalty, but he'd smashed his first one away, and but the second one right at the end was saved. So unfortunately, we're down, as Mark said, to one Finnish representative in the Europa League now, and that's Kups dropping down from the Champions League. But yeah, take a look there in the show notes for the shirt video that we discussed and played earlier, but also the highlights from these Champions League. I've discovered over the last year or so that rather than typing out an agenda for this show and then copying it into the show notes, I just put it all in the show notes. And rather than typing out results and things like that, I just do screenshots and tuck them in there. So it saves me a bit of time, and hopefully it's a bit more interesting for everyone else to watch as well.
Just before we move on that Ilves game, I mean, obviously those guys can hold their heads up high for giving Shamrock a good game. And I just wanted to give a mention out to Toppy from the Ilves fan group, Nilon Pojat, who went on to the Shamrock Rovers fans podcast and gave those Irish guys the lowdown on Ilves. He was he did really well, obviously speaking in his second language, but that was a really good listen. So kudos to Toppy there.
Yeah, well done, Toppy, because Rich was approached to see if he could find someone to take part in that podcast, and a few people stepped back, and Toppy got pushed forward there.
It's like a LinkedIn for Finnish football nerds on there, isn't it? It's like they asked me, and I thought, well, I could talk about it in general. I don't watch a lot of Ilves, and it was like, oh, we know someone in our group. Stand by.
Yeah.
And it turned out really well. He really was a good guest on there. So.
And that kind of brings us to, well, I don't know if it's the half time or 3/4 of the way through, but let's have our half time break and do our following feature. And Rich, this was your suggestion, so I'll hand over to you. Who should everyone be following this week?
Well, I thought in this case, because I like to think that we're quite good at representing the different types of the diverse needs of Finnish football. Well, this week we had our first official Women's Champions League winner, Katrina Talaslati, who plays for Lyon, who I think won their 5th consecutive Champions League this week. She's only 19, and she's had quite a long career already. I think her and her sister moved to Bayern Munich when they were 12 or 13. They've been in Germany for that long. She actually played for Bayern's first team for about a season. And she was on the bench for the final, but I mean, very highly rated. Lyon are probably the best women's club side in the world. That was probably proved by 5 Champions Leagues in a row. But 19, she's not had a Finland national team cap yet, but I'm sure that's not that far away. I think, again, like in the men's team, I think Finnish women's goalkeepers are, that's one of the sort of strong features already. There's quite a bit of strength in depth there. But if Katrina does well, then I don't see why not. I mean, she's 19. She's got a Champions League winners medal already. Fair play.
So she played in goal for Bayern Munich's first team.
Yeah.
At the age of 17 or something
18,
like that.
Yeah.
That's
she played
incredible,
25, 30 games for them, I think. And then she moved to Lyon at the start of this year. Lyon hoover up every bit of talent they can get. They've had English players, American players playing there. And that's a sign of confidence, really, if they're taking young Finnish uncapped goalkeepers and playing them in the squad for a final. So.
Yeah, good. Well done, Katrina Talaslati, and you can find her at Talaslati on Twitter. So if you're listening to this, drop her a message, congratulate her, and tell her that the Finnish Football Show have been talking about her behind her back.
She'll love that.
Yeah, all good stuff. And we're into the final section, or the second half, whatever you want to call it. Looking at recent Veikkausliiga action. I sent you guys some of the results from the last couple of weeks. Anything that sort of jumped out at you? Anything that caught your eye?
Well, at the time of recording, against Tuesday night, Honka have just lost their first game of the season at home to Hifki.
Okay.
They admittedly had drawn, I think, about 2/3 of their matches. You'd hope an unbeaten team would be top of the league, but no, they lost their first game tonight. And I mean, we joke on the WhatsApp group occasionally, but there is a massive chasm now appearing between the bottom place and even the sort of 3 teams above. I mean, Rops have only got 2 points already, and then above them you've got Hacker,
Who
TPS.
lost again tonight?
Yeah, Hacker, TPS, and Asiko won at the weekend, so they're again a bit of a gap. But yeah, Rops are looking desperate.
Yeah, but when you talk about gaps, Rich, there's also, well, if Ilves won tonight, then there's like an 8-point gap between Asiko in 9th and Ilves in 8th.
Yeah. I mean, there's 6 points between Asiko and Mariehamn, who are the next team up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you've got your bottom team, but now, admittedly, you're starting to look at 3 teams who might get sucked into that last relegation playoff. I mean, Rops, I think it's safe to say we're more than halfway through the regular season. Rops are down. I'll put money on that. But yeah, the other 3, I think there's 22 games, regular games left. So you've got 9 or 10 games. There's a bit of a bun fight going on down there.
I mean, I think the only game that Rops have been in, actually in the game was against Asiko. Apart from that, they've been they got smashed by Mariehamn, they got smashed by Lahti. I mean, I think Drodgo only scored twice, but they were also resting players ahead of Europe. So it was they've. I can't see, when you watch Rops play, I can't see how they're going to string a win, where they're going to get a win from, because they look.
I mean, I saw that game on Saturday, Mark, and they weren't awful, but there was just nothing really there. You know, they didn't do much, and still they managed to have. Well, they managed to score. You know, having been 2-0 down, they managed to put it back to 2-1, and they had one other clear chance where someone, you know, the Asiko defence parted like the Red Sea, not for the first time this season, and the forward went straight through but screwed it wide. Fortunately for us, but it wasn't awful. They weren't awful, but there just wasn't anything there, and I can't see where they're going to pick up points from either, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, they're 6 points from even a playoff spot at the moment. They've scored 9 goals.
Yeah, that's more than Seinäjoki.
Well, I didn't want to say it. But, I mean, you look at TPS, you know, they changed their manager. They got Jonathan Johansson in, and they've won 2 games. Admittedly, one was against Rops, and the other was Asiko, wasn't it? But he's come in. He's got a lot of experience managing or coaching in Scotland. They brought him in. There was a big controversy there around breaching quarantine and making him sit on his own on the touchline on a sort of patio chair. I know his wife actually, and she seems to find it quite funny. But yeah, they've, you know, those teams. TPS have made a manager change. Hacker are kind of they only won their first game last week. I mean, Timo Tainio was so highly rated for what he did, the way he got Hacker up last season, and I think he's found it a big struggle.
What is going on there? I can't believe it.
They brought a lot of new players in, haven't they?
I mean, you know, he brought Maximus in, didn't he? He's I think he was in and out of the team, but he was back in the team. Was he in the team tonight, or definitely for the last game? I think.
Last game, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't believe what's going on. I really thought they would do a lot better, but it's like they can't buy a win.
But then you've got, I think there's a lot of, even the mid-table teams, they're scoring goals. I mean, they're defensively, they're pretty dreadful. But I mean, Mariehamn in, they 8th? They've scored 20 goals. Admittedly, Ademi has scored, I think, 12 of them. Lahti are scoring goals, Ilves are scoring goals, and I think again that's the difference. You know, it shows in almost every league around the world. If you've got a player who can bang in a few goals, you know, they're priceless. And again, Hackam scored 13, which is reasonable. It's actually more than Honka, but it's doing it in the right games.
It's, when you talk about games that have caught the eye recently, there was, I think it was yesterday, the Inter Turku-Lahti game, where I think I'm right in saying that Lahti went 2-0 up, and perennial mid-tablers, Lahti, who just seem to hover around that mid-table, but obviously Turku have been going great guns at the start of the season, and all of a sudden find themselves 2-0 down at Lahti, but managed to claw back for a Desmond 2-2 draw. I mean, you got Benjamin Chalman. He scored again after he's made his way back to Inter Turku, so he found the net again. But it was Turku's sort of chance to respond to that HJK emphatic victory at the weekend and sort of keep HJK just within touching distance. But when you're talking about games that caught the eye, I think that's the one that should be on the tip of everyone's tongue. That HJK game at the weekend, which was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, actually, Rich, you said about TPS Turku winning. They didn't beat HJK. Actually, they haven't done that yet. They actually beat Inter.
Oh, they did in the derby, didn't they?
Yeah, and they beat.
They beat Robs.
No, HIFK.
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat HIFK.
Oh.
So maybe they got 3 points against Robs and 3 points against HJK still to come.
I mean, it's a fair assumption for any average team to have beaten HJK.
I beat HJK last night.
Do you mind? Sad but true.
The HJK game was pretty awesome because didn't it get a mention from UEFA?
Yeah, it did.
FIFA.
Yeah.
For FIFA, yeah.
Putting us out of business. They're now tweeting Finnish football results.
I mean,
and to be honest, the Marienham goal was pretty decent as well.
Yeah, it's a good free kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? 2 for Rico Riski and 2 for Ruppe Riski as well.
2 for Ruppe. They're looking really good. Ruppe is starting every game up front. He's keeping Tim Varren out the side at the minute, and I think he's got 8 and 9 so far, Ruppe, which is obviously behind the young lad Ademi that got called up. But it's a really strange one because it was I have that same feeling when he started for HJK. Because when he played for HJK and when you won the title, he just every ball you'd slip into him behind the channel, you just thought, he's going to nail it. And he's got that same HJK break with pace. They break sort of down the flanks and into the channels, and he times his runs really well. And I think Europa is going to Ademi, Marienham always have the same thing, which is that they always start the season really well. They always nail they always get themselves nice and safe. The only question is, can they keep it going further towards the end of the season? And I like Ademi, but I think he's scored a lot of goals from wide, and a lot of clubs are going to get maybe a bit wise to him. And I think Ruppe Riski is just he's back. He's back, baby.
I mean, but HJK are looking strong all over the pitch, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's
Valtteri Morin and O'Shaughnessy at the back, and
Keto's in goal, isn't he?
Yeah, he started. I think he's now got. I think he's only played two or three times, but he's played the last 2 consecutively. So I think a couple of matches under his belt, and I think he'll be number 1 for the season.
And we've got friend of the show, Marcus Halstead, who has just re-signed for home club HJK, so he'll be looking to get back into the side if he can.
Yeah, they're really strengthening, aren't they?
It's a rare move to go from HIFK to HJK. Usually after you've gone through the career and lifted all the trophies and had all the accolades, you go from HJK to HIFK for a couple of years. Just to sort of see it out. But yeah, it's sort of nice that he's gone the other way. It's a strange deal as well because he was probably HIFK's best player up until now.
Yeah, you were saying about the top scorers there, Mark. So Albion Ademi has got 10 goals in 12 matches. Ruppe Riski has got 9 in 12. Timo Furuholm at Inter has got 8 in 13. And then there's 3 players on 6 goals. That's Asenun from Lahti, Dongu from Honka, and Niskanen from KuPS. So the top scorers are all spread out quite nicely there.
I mean, that Dongu, I mean, I don't think we talked about him before. I mean, we're talking about someone who actually played first team football for Barcelona. We have a lot of these players who come into Finland and they say, oh, we were once on the books of, I don't know, in Keto's case, Arsenal or Real Madrid or something like that. But he actually played in the Champions League, I think, against Celtic for Barcelona. And, I mean, obviously coming there with big pedigree. I mean, he's probably got, we're talking, I think, about 3 or 4 combined sub appearances. But again, like the player that Tapia signs, it's Strasser, the centre forward. He actually won a Serie A title with AC Milan. So with these are really tenuous links for sure. But I think Dongu coming in, he's played at the Nou Camp with Messi. That magic has clearly rubbed off. I think he scored against our house last week. I made that joke on our house in the middle of our street. But I think some of the Danish commentators or the Danish journos who were following said that, he did look, playing for Honka, quality player. And again, I don't know whether it's an agent thing or a scouting thing or something like that. I can't even remember where they picked him up from. I think it was a 2nd or 3rd division Spanish team. But yeah, I mean, coming in, scoring goals. Honka, despite, again, I think he scored about half of their goals for the season. But yeah, nice to see someone come good.
Yeah, he is a quality player. Like, he's just, clearly a cut above. Like, cut above is maybe a bit harsh, but he's not like an out and out striker. He's good on the ball and moves it like really well. And he's a hell of a talent.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear what happened with was it Mbongo? I don't know. We've joked about him before. He got sent off for Lahti against Ilves a couple of weeks ago, and I've tweeted the video out. It's worth watching because I think in the space of 10 seconds, he punched 3 players and then got sent off. Admittedly, one of them stood on his foot. He punched him. And then in trying to punch another one, he punched 2 at the same time. He got banned for 2 matches, but I'm kind of thinking, I haven't heard any more about, has he been given any sort of other penalty afterwards? But I mean, again, this might only be for people who've grown up in the UK in the 80s or 90s, but Umbongo was a fruit drink with a very famous theme tune, and I was hoping that Lahti would pick it up as a chant, but I think he's kind of blown that now.
Yeah. Speaking of players get sent off, did you? It's a couple of weeks ago now, but was you over the news of the Hifki goalie Origi?
Oh,
he got sent off, and he was considering legal action against people who have accused him of being sent off deliberately to throw the game. So he's obviously taking his reputation very seriously. Huh?
Well, he's a Kenyan international, and I think one of the a journalist, I can't remember what his name was, who, an award-winning football journalist came out and maybe accused him of both throwing the game and perhaps implying it was because of his nationality.
Yeah.
And then he's threatened to sue him, and then they've had a meeting behind closed doors, and Hifki have been very... Yeah, but I mean, his sending off was, again, quite comical in one way, because he hit Roof at a penalty award. He got booked when the penalty was awarded, then got a second yellow for complaining after the penalty was scored.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a dreadful decision.
There you go.
Yeah, that journalist, if they knew the quality of the referees in Finland, would understand that it's perfectly natural to lose your temper at the referee enough to get yourself sent off. That's no big surprise. Looking at the upcoming fixtures, I guess the big one in the next couple of weeks is the Helsinki Derby, which is a week on Thursday the 10th. Hifki at home to Huuhkajat. Although, I guess with limited fans, it will still be fiery down there, Mark.
Yeah, there's tickets going now. I think you go in and there's like a lottery system, and then you have to work out the social distancing. There's been rumblings that they might knock it on the head because they've had a couple of crowds in where it's not worked, like where they've had a couple hundred in or like 200 in or so in the, I think it's about 8,000 total. And what you're supposed to do is you get your seat assigned and you're supposed to sit in your seat and then not kind of congregate, but they can't stop people kind of like, coming together into the stands. There's still stuff on sale, but I know there's some government reviews coming in. So if you're going to buy,
did you see how?
Insurance.
Sorry. I say, do you see how Brighton managed the limited crowd that they had in the other day?
Yeah, the way they did that was weird. I mean, I know it was a test event, but it's not going to work for certainly in UK stadia. The way they did that isn't really appropriate for most. And I know again it's a test, and this is how these things go. But
why not, Rich? What did you see?
So I mean, essentially Brighton's ground. I've been there once. It's the whole thing about it's very accessible by public transport, which in the current climate is dreadful. And they encouraged everyone to either walk, cycle, or drive. They only have limited parking. The attendance, I think, there was up to 2,500 people. So of course, I go to Arsenal. There's no parking. So if they did a test event at Arsenal, that's not going to work. And 2,500, and it was all either people with loyalty points and things like that. Everything's cashless in the stadium, but like Mark said, you're assigned a seat, but then you're kind of encouraged to drift, to separate distance within the stand. And plus, because in the UK you can't drink in view of the pitch, and they were still selling alcohol, so because they still need to make money, so people are hanging out with their mates, having a beer on the concourse, and again, the kind of rules that whole point out.
At least here, there's no stewards. There's no that sort of the match day staff that floats in and floats out, ball boys and all the rest of it. There's no one. You get in the thing, and then there's people selling coffee, and there's obviously a couple of security guards, but then you're in the stadium, and there's not that much. It's like you said, you're encouraged to spend stuff, buy coffees and all the rest of it, but stay socially distant. But usually in the when you get to a game, there's sort of stewards on the outside, and then on the inside as you get through run through the backs just to sort of fights in the bogs and help people help people find the seats and the rest of it. But there's none of that now because there's not enough sort of crowds. So it's a little bit on the honour system, and I don't know.
So
how long that's going to last.
We should keep an eye out for what happens with that Helsinki Derby next week then.
I think that's going to be the big flashpoint, but that's what it always has been. And I think with the whole way it's driven, and there was that erroneous message that came out last week where one of the Finnish government channels suggested that the outdoor gatherings would be limited to 50 instead of 500, and all of a sudden everyone, football sport, were like, oh, panic, we can only have 50, and then suddenly went, oh no, it's a typo. But again, they've made a big thing about how everything is semi-strictly, you're only allowed so many people within a block or a stand or something like that, and all of a sudden you've got pretty much the only fixture in Finland that sells out regularly, and you're playing to maximum a quarter of the stadium. It's interesting.
Did you if you obviously we've had a chat about Veikkausliiga, and it's all very exciting, but if it's goals you want, then Ukkänen's the place to be. I think there's some of the games that have been happening down there. We've had sort of 6-4s, 5-3s, sort of 4-2s, all sorts. So I'm sure it's got nothing to do with all these punters in the Far East. But if it's goals you're after, then Ukkanen is the place to be.
See, if you've got a season ticket at Yarrow, you're getting good value for money. I think they've scored 18 in 5 home games this season. And you contrast that to Oulu, who are top, and I think they've scored 15 in 12, and they're top. They're unbeaten. I think it's 4 or 5 1-0 wins. But yeah, I mean, we've had some fun with the bettors and the gamblers. I think after last week,
they lost it, didn't they?
last week Hifki lost at home to Haka, which, you know, after what we said, was essentially a home banker.
Yeah.
And all the replies on Twitter going, "Oh, you're a," I won't swear, league, blah blah blah. And again tonight, Honka lost, and immediately the gamblers of various other continents are enraged on social media. It's nice to know who the Veikkausliiga's target market is, not us.
But it's I mean, there's some cracking clubs down there in that Ukkonen. You know, it'd be nice to see 2 of them come back up into Veikkausliiga. But it's there's some really decent names down there, and it's turning out to be quite competitive down there.
Yeah, Oulu haven't been up for 8-9 years.
Yeah.
Yarrow went down, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And haven't been back. I think, you got some big clubs there, and as you call youth.
They're bottom.
Yeah, it's quite tough down there. I think we maybe talked about this last show as well, but the problem is that they got promoted from Kakkonen to Ukkonen, and some of those players have then gone up into the first team squad, and you've now got an academy team playing against seasoned professionals, some of which have just dropped down from Veikkausliiga. So I think the feeling is it's literally men against boys, and maybe they're learning. Maybe these young players are learning lessons that will do them good in the future. But it's a tough season this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard to expect the academy side to go knocking. If they started to get into a place where they were a mid-table Ukkonen team, those players would be in Asiko's team properly. They'd be in the squad. So I think it's kind of hard to. I mean, if Asiko were smashing it at the top of the table, then maybe the younger lads could sort of go and compete. But yeah, the way Asiko are at the minute, if anybody in there started scoring goals like in Yarrow, then. Yeah, then they'd have to move up.
Yeah, that's right. On that somber note, I think it's maybe time to wrap up the show. So remember, listener, join our new Facebook page where we will be regularly sharing bits and pieces that we've produced, blogs and podcasts or whatever. There you'll also find the Facebook group, which is more conversational. So come over there and ask your questions, join in a conversation, and it's also where we sort of share more of the sort of news stories and the funnies and bits and pieces like that. So
and recruit podcast guests.
Recruit podcast guests. Yeah, quite right. So find links in the show notes also to the Finnish Football Show Instagram page, which Keke is keeping alive, and the YouTube channel where you'll find the video for this show as well. And remember, you can follow one of us or all of us on Twitter. I'm the least active. I'm at Explore Finland. Mark, who are you?
At FC Suomi.
Keke, who are you?
At Keke Myllari.
And Rich, who are you?
At Escape to Swarmy. And
that's it for another episode of the Finnish Football Show. So until next time, chaps, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.